You're watching NASA TV.
Good day from Mission Control in Houston, and welcome to the International Space Station Flight Control Room here at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, and our coverage of U.S. Spacewalk number 74, to be conducted by Shane Kimbrough and Thomas Pesquet, a spacewalk that will begin the process of augmenting the power capability of the International Outpost. At this hour, aboard the International Space Station in the Quest airlock, you see with his back to the camera Russian cosmonaut Oleg Novitsky, and on the left NASA astronaut Megan McArthur, as they have worked throughout the course of the overnight hours to help prepare Thomas Pesquet of the European Space Agency, who's on the right side of your screen, and hidden from view at the moment, Shane Kimbrough on the left side of your screen, helping them to suit up in their U.S. extravehicular mobility units. They are in the equipment lock section of the two-compartment Quest airlock, ready to begin what is expected to be a 6.5 to 7 hour spacewalk to install new solar arrays called iROSAs. You'll hear that term referred to throughout the course of our coverage today. iROSA, the acronym for ISS Rollout Solar Arrays. These new arrays are designed not to replace the legacy or older solar array wings on the station, but rather augment their power capability for the rest of the lifetime of the International Space Station. Today's spacewalk will be the 239th spacewalk in support of ISS assembly, maintenance, and upgrades, the 7th spacewalk to be conducted out of the International Space Station this year, the 7th spacewalk in the career of Shane Kimbrough, who has accrued a total of 39 hours even on 6 previous spacewalks. He will be wearing a helmet camera bearing the number 22 during the course of today's spacewalk, helmet camera number 22, and this will be the 3rd spacewalk in the career of Thomas Pesquet, a former Air France pilot who is with the European Space Agency making his 2nd flight into space. His 2 previous spacewalks accrued a total of 12 hours and 32 minutes of spacewalking time. He'll be wearing a helmet camera bearing the number 20 during today's spacewalk. The 2 crew members will also be wearing HD helmet cameras, as well as the standard helmet cameras that you have become familiar with over the course of spacewalking coverage. That will provide more detailed looks from the crew members' perspective as they conduct all of their activities in support of today's spacewalk. The Orbit 1 team of flight controllers is on console at this hour as you look at an overhead view looking at Shane Kimbrough, who is again on the left side of the Quest airlock's equipment lock section, just over the shoulder of Thomas Pesquet, who's on the right side of your screen, lower right-hand side of your screen. They suited up with the assistance of Mark Vande Hei, NASA astronaut, and Megan McArthur earlier in the morning. Megan McArthur will be operating the Canadarm 2, the space station's robotic arm, to transport Thomas Pesquet, who will haul these new the first set of iROSA solar arrays toward the workside on the far left side of the truss of the International Space Station. Today's worksite will be managed by Flight Director Ron Spencer, and you'll be hearing the voice of Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jenny Sidey, who will be the so-called ground IV Capcom, or essentially the spacewalk choreographer, who will be discussing all of the procedures step by step with Pesquet and Kimbrough while they conduct their work outside of the Quest airlock. The crew inside the Quest's equipment lock has been breathing pure oxygen and conducting light exercise to increase their metabolic rate and increase the the dispersion of nitrogen out of their bloodstreams to prevent any condition known as the bends or decompression sickness from occurring when they step out into the vacuum of space. Today's spacewalk is scheduled to begin about an hour and a half from now at 7 a.m. Central Time, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. A U.S.-based spacewalk out of the Quest airlock is measured at the beginning from the time that the crew switches their suits to internal battery power until the time of repressurization when they're back inside the airlock at the completion of an EVA.
At the start of the EVA, EV1, Thomas Pesquet, comes out first, followed by EV2 Shane Kimbrough. Thomas translates up to the front face of the truss and translates outboard. Thomas is setting up what we refer to as safety tether anchors. At this point, he'll drop the anchor point for both he and Shane. Shane will be retrieving an articulating portable foot restraint and putting his stowage bag onto it for translation outboard. Thomas makes his way out to the carrier that has the solar arrays stowed on it. Shane follows along the truss and meets Thomas at the carrier. The crew drops off pistol grip tools and bags in preparation for releasing iROSA from the carrier. Shane makes his way outboard onto the P6 truss element and stows the articulating portable foot restraint that he'll be using later on in the EVA. Continues translating outboard to the very end of the truss and stows his stowage bag. Thomas prepares the iROSA by releasing the first hinge bolt and stowing his pistol grip tool. Thomas makes his way outboard and releases an anti-rotation device which keeps the primary bolt locked in place during launch loads. Thomas retrieves a handling aid for iROSA. We refer to this as a scoop. Meanwhile, Shane retrieves a crew lock bag and installs it on the lower support truss of the mod kit. He retrieves another scoop, another handling aid, and installs it on the mounting bracket of the mod kit. Shane retrieves one of the two sets of cables and pre-positions them for future installation. Shane retrieves his pistol grip tool and makes his way back inboard to join Thomas. Thomas prepares the release bolts down to the last few turns. Thomas installs one of the handling aids and makes his way back around iROSA. He changes out his pistol grip tool and makes his way down to the crew and equipment translation aid, or CETA cart, and retrieves the foot restraint that he'll use on the end of the arm for his work with iROSA. He installs the foot restraint at the end of the arm, puts it in the right position, and ingresses the arm. The arm then flies him into position to drive two bolts that are on the boom deployment system. Once these bolts have been released, the booms can be moved outboard, and this will help with the release of the solar array when it's eventually deployed. Thomas drives two of the outboard launch restraint bolts that hold the tube in place, and the arm maneuvers him for release of iROSA from the carrier. Meanwhile, Shane makes his way over to the carrier and gets into position for release. Shane drives the last few turns on the release bolts, and now the iROSA solar array has been released from the flight support equipment. He installs a handling aid, and Thomas is able to slide iROSA off of the carrier and remove it. Meanwhile, Shane is keeping an eye on the whole system to make sure that iROSA does not come into contact with the RMS grapple fixture, and away Thomas goes with iROSA. Meanwhile, Shane gets off of the carrier and translates outboard. He'll stow Thomas' safety tether hook in preparation for when Thomas comes off of the arm, and he'll continue his path outboard. He stows his pistol grip tool, makes his way to his foot restraint, and ingresses. While he's getting into his foot restraint, Thomas is continuing his path, holding on to iROSA while the arm flies him as far outboard as it can reach. He hands off the iROSA to Shane. They swap tethers. Shane has control of iROSA and is left holding it, while Thomas goes back to his egress position. He gets out of the arm, changes his safety tether, and makes his way back to where Shane is holding iROSA. He then rotates Shane into position so that iROSA is handed off to the next point. Thomas ingresses his foot restraint and receives iROSA. Shane egresses his foot restraint, moves outboard, and gets into position to help Thomas install iROSA onto its final location on the mod kit. One of the two handling aids is removed before installing onto this mounting bracket. The two crew members work together to align it and put it into a soft capture feature. Once it's installed, The other handling aid is removed, the final hinge restraint bolt is loosened, and iROSA is now able to rotate into its fully deployed, fully extended position. The two crew members work together to swing it into the single tube. Once it is in position, Shane stows the two handling aids. Thomas gets into position to drive the hinge bolts. These two bolts hold the two halves of the iROSA solar array into a single tube. These bolts are delicate pins, so the final torque to get them into position is done with a hand tool so that we don't over torque those bolts. Once that's in place, there are 8 mounting bolts that hold all of the iROSA solar array onto the mounting bracket. Thomas will drive the first 4, followed by Shane driving the second set of 4. Shane and Thomas will work together to install the electrical cables that hook up to iROSA. One set goes to the right side and the other set goes to the left side, and they are finally hooked up in place on the legacy solar arrays. That's done during eclipse. After those cables are installed, the crew gets into position to drive the final 2 bolts that are holding iROSA in the pre-deployed position. Once these 2 bolts have been driven, iROSA is free to extend itself into its deployed position. After the crew's verified that the solar array is in the right position and it's fully deployed, they drive 2 tensioning bolts. This allows the sail to be tensioned into its final configuration. Once iROSA has been fully deployed, there are some checkout steps that are performed to make sure that everything is hooked up correctly, and the crew cleans up the worksite. They retrieve the handling aids and the pistol grip tools, and they prepare for the second EVA in the series. To do this, they take their foot restraints and move them to the other side of the P6 truss structure. This will be the worksite for the second EVA. Each crew member has their own foot restraint, and they'll move them to the other side. The crew repositions the stowage bag that's holding the other set of cables to the other side of the truss, pre-positions it for the next EVA. The crew will do an inventory of all their tools and their hardware, and they'll start their path back to the airlock. On their way back, they'll stop at the carrier, pick up the last crew lock bag and the last pistol grip tool, and make their way inboard. When both crew members are back at the airlock, they'll retrieve a foot restraint that has been causing us problems and bring it inside the airlock to inspect. Shane will enter the airlock, followed by Thomas, and that ends the first EVA.
Pit pin is engaged. I'm egressing the airlock. Forward hatch, 15, engaged. I put down a local feather. And my crew lock bag.
Copy. You can get that crew lock bag on your VRT, and when you're ready, give Shane a go for egress.
Copy. So, you ready for body checks? Ready? On you, I see two green LEDs. And going down, I see 3 tabs up and a little bit to your left shoulder. 3 tabs up for BRT. 2 handles down, and I see the waist feather is going from your right steering extender locked black on black to the airlock waist feather locked black on black, both the big hook and the small hook. Looks like a good config. Okay. And you got the IDA bag on your mini workstation, right? Yeah, that's what it is. All right, I see 2 green lights on you. Lights are on, visor down. Mini workstation tabs, 1. And 2 are up. BRT tab is up. Safer handles are down. And I see your safety tethers just out your left side there. It all looks clear. Your crew lock bag looks good behind you. Like you're in a good config. Okay, sounds good. With that, Jenny, if you agree, I'll make my way to P1.
Copy. Good buddy checks. I'll just take a baseline HAP check from you, and then we can get to translating to Ma. Tama, we're going to have you stand by.
Standing by, Jenny. Hey, Tama, I'm on Spacewalk, coming your way. Okay, I see you from distance. Been good.
And ground copy, Shane.
And Jenny, you're breaking up.
Copy, Tama.
There's a good view of Thomas Pesquet at the flight support equipment carrier, if you will, in which the first pair of ISS rollout solar arrays are housed. He will begin work very soon to begin loosening bolts and anti-rotation devices, as they are called, basically launch constraints that held the arrays in place when they were launched back on June 3rd in the trunk of the Crew Dragon cargo vehicle that SpaceX launched on a Falcon 9 rocket from the Kennedy Space Center to bring to orbit. Those arrays arriving at the space station on June 5th and then robotically removed from the trunk of Cargo Dragon and mounted at that payload attachment fixture for the time being, awaiting the start of today's spacewalk. In the foreground is the trusty Canadarm2 robotic arm that astronaut Megan MacArthur will be operating a short time from now to move Thomas Pesquet to the P6 worksite as he carries the arrays manually, the first solar array, to hand off to Shane Kimbrough before it is mounted on a bracket at the base, at the mast canister base of the P6 solar array structure.
Your feet there, Tama. My feet. Nice. All right, Fort Dakota coming to you. What do you want me to do tomorrow? Come up there? And yeah, if you can. I'll try to come your way and meet you halfway. I'll have to bring this like a caddy.
So Shane,
it's attached to your bag.
Shane, you just need to get your PGT to Thomas. We have the published steps to stow it on the tower handrail, but if you can pass it to Thomas more easily, that's fine with us.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I'll try and do. Just stay there tomorrow. I'm on the pallet now, too. Okay. I'll just come to you. Okay. Good with that? Yeah, I'm good with that. Okay. Be gentle. Nice and smooth.
Thomas, now that you're at Charlie 2, let me know when you're ready for PGT settings.
Okay. How you doing, Shane? Good. I got the first cable tied down and just looking at the distance before I do 3 turns on it. Good. Nice. Nice work.
Ground copy, Shane.
The second one I'm going to have to move out quite a bit. So, got a red on that and undo it.
This is Mission Control Houston approaching the 1 hour, 30-minute mark into today's spacewalk. A good view of European Space Agency astronaut Thomas Pesquet by the flight support equipment, and you are getting a great view of the 2 pairs of folded ISS rollout solar arrays, one of which will be extracted from that flight support equipment a short time from now and moved by Pesquet at the end of the station's robotic arm over to hand off to Shane Kimbrough at the P6 truss of the station, where it ultimately will be installed and mounted in place for its deployment later in today's spacewalk. The International Space Station is flying into an orbital sunrise over the Pacific Ocean, soon to cross the coast of Mexico, flying 258 statute miles above the Earth in an orbit inclined 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator, this track carrying it from southwest to northeast.
Ready at 27 turns on Charlie 1.
Copy, 27 turns on Charlie 1. You can stow your PGT, and we'll have you translate back to Charlie 2.
Copy, stowing the PGT and back to Charlie 2.
A great view of Thomas Pesquet using his equipment to break torque on a pair of bolts holding the iROSA solar array in place on its flight support equipment. Meanwhile, Shane Kimbrough at his work site at the P6 truss of the station, the far left side of the backbone of the station, is routing a series of harnesses that will be associated with the power connectors that will hook up the electrical connections for the new solar array to the power system at the mast canister base of the solar array.
Jenny, I got a ret on white cables in cab side. I'll release the ret from the back.
Copy.
Jenny, I am ready for settings on the PG for Charlie 2 for turns.
Bravo 3, counter 3.
Again, Jenny, as a piece of data, the first 10 turns where I could tell the torque was really high, and then it kind of moved a little bit, and then the rest was really easy.
Okay, we copy, Thomas, the change in torque you felt when you were releasing that bolt.
Okay, and I'm going to go back to the other side, Jenny, if that's correct.
Affirm,
That's both sides.
that is right, Thomas. Hap check.
Good. Okay.
I have a big picture update for both of you when you're ready.
Ready? Ready.
Okay, so the next steps for tomorrow are going to be to configure the arm. That means that we have about 20 to 30 minutes before we're ready for release from the SSE, which, Shane, are going to be your next steps per the nominal timeline. So we're polling you two on how you would feel about get-aheads on the R bolts on the lower iROSA for Shane at this time, while Thomas, you push with the arm reconfig and the nominal R bolts for the upper iROSA.
Green motion.
Good motion.
Good motion. $37 to publish.
Continue.
$10 centimeters.
Continue motion.
5.
You can stop motion.
Okay, I heard you say stop motion. Is this a good position?
If you can give me maybe 10 to 15, or let's say 20 station aft, sorry, and 20 more station zenith. Okay, Jenny, I got my tether stuff figured out, so the timing looks like.
Copy, Shane. The timing still looks good, so I'll get a glove inspection and a hap check from you, and then I have your first get-ahead words ready.
Okay, left glove's good. Right glove, I have a little black smudge on the middle finger. See that? It's other with the damage or anything. Looks like just a grease smudge or something.
Copy.
Dry hat.
Copy and dry hap.
And Jenny, I'm ready for Research status swap words on the SSRMS.
Copy, Thomas. First, you'll lock your green tether reel and check your green hook is locked.
Okay, starting GCA.
Motion.
Motion. Copy, good motion.
Continue.
Continuing. 50 centimeters to go.
Copy 50.
25 centimeters to go.
Motion mark.
Motion.
I think that's good as far as body in, but I'll need, since I'm expecting R1, R2, R3, R4, I need some station forward or motion towards my head. Are you good? Oh.
Okay, Thomas, we copy. Continue the GCA. Body up. How far?
Copy, and I'm stand by. Jenny, you confirm I'm starting by R1?
Checking.
Five zero. Zero. Nine zero.
Copy, Shane. That sounds good to us. That's the completion of the get-aheads that we're going to do in this time, so you can stow that PGT. And then we're going to send you to look at the indicator on the base of the root beam that would have popped out when Thomas released R3 and R4.
Okay. Jenny, 11 turns on R1, and the bolt popped out. It looks fully released.
Copy. R1 popped out 11 turns. Same way that you did with the R2 boom deployment system, you can rotate the BDS associated with R1 to the deployed position slowly, and keep in mind it might not contact the blanket in the fully deployed position.
Okay, I'm rotating R1 BDS. Hey, Jenny, where would you like me to go?
Checking.
Yep, the PGT's on the handrail and working the socket now.
So while we're starting at second of 3, General Cass is this one is 3 minutes.
Copy, I'm ready.
This is Mission Control Houston approaching the 3-hour mark into today's spacewalk. The view of Thomas Pesquet in a foot restraint at the end of the Canadarm 2 robotic arm as he is poised to begin the extraction of the iROSA roll-up solar array from its flight support structure. However, a couple of data dropouts have been noticed in Shane Kimbrough's extravehicular mobility unit suit associated with his sublimator, which provides cooling for the suit, and the display control module that provides him with an observation capability for the data that the suit is producing. This may only be instrumentation at this point, but we're double checking to make sure that there's no issue that would prevent the array itself from being extracted from its flight support equipment.
How you doing, Thomas? I'm doing good. I'm passing right overhead from you. You know, cool.
Shane and Thomas, I have a big picture update for both of you. We are not committing to releasing iROSA from the FSD at this time until we have a really strong lock on exactly what is happening with your suit, Shane. So we're working that problem still down here. Just so you know, the next steps would be getting Thomas into position to release the iROSA, and we're not going to move ahead with that until we know exactly what's going on.
Okay, that sounds good, Jenny, and that's posted.
Spacewalk communicator Jenny Seide here in Mission Control, providing the two spacewalkers the big picture as we are at the point of releasing the iROSA solar array, but it is contingent on the flight control team being comfortable with the condition of Shane Kimbrough's suit and his ability to read data from his display control module, which is essentially a menu of suit system status that he has access to right in front of him to be able to monitor the condition of his suit, just as the flight control team here in Mission Control can monitor all of the systems for both Kimbrough's suit and Thomas Pesquet's suit.
Hi, Shane and Thomas. I have next steps and an answer for you on the suit for now, Shane. What we are going to do is have you return to the airlock at this time and connect to the SCU for a warm restart. Then we can assess the sublimator P issue, but we think that that will at least help us diagnose and get a good feel for exactly what's happening with your DCM. Thomas, we are going to continue with the nominal procedure and hold until Shane is back and we sort out what's happening with his suit.
Yeah, Station Houston, you are correct. We'll have you finish up 11 and 12. That would have us in a good position if we were needing to execute any additional steps to assist Shane, but for now that also puts you in a good position to continue procedures, nominal procedures. And Shane will go back to the airlock. We'll get him on the SU. We're going to check out a restart on the DCM, and we'll go from there. So we think that puts us in the best config to sort out the problem and then decide if we're going to carry on. Shane will be in a safe place.
Okay, Thomas, we're standing by for your command for the GCA.
Okay, and Mark, just to clarify, you confirmed that in case I had to go assist Shane, I would have to egress the arm here at the FSC and climb down on the pull-off. Is that correct?
This is Mission Control Houston. The big picture here is that Shane Kimbrough is in absolutely no danger whatsoever. He is fine out there, just simply making his way back to the Quest airlock, to the crew lock section. We'll hook his suit back up to an umbilical and do a restart of the display control module, which is a data center, if you will, providing information to him while he's outside of the International Space Station on the condition of suit systems.
$25 centimeters.
Copy.
Ten.
Copy. Copy 28, one more stop for configure. Copy all. Hi, Jenny. I'm connected to the RCU, and I'm on page 28.
Okay, copy, Shane. So we're going to perform a warm restart now that you have that cuff checklist page open. And again, that's page 28 for Thomas to follow along. You will not be performing that cuff checklist. I'll be talking you through it. In a warm restart for comm failure, I'll lead you through the following steps, which will be step 4.3 to the end of the page to reset your DCM display. If you unexpectedly lose comm or encounter any issues, you can use the cuff checklist to complete the response. In this procedure, the fan and power will be taken off OFF for 7 seconds. While the fan is off, you'll be without cooling and CO2 removal. Overheating and loss of visibility from fogging are possible, and there will be no comm until you take the power back to BAT. If fan operation is delayed or not restored, or power is not restored after switching back to BAT, open and lock the helmet purge valve to restore vent flow.
Copy.
Okay. Take a moment to confirm power and fan switch access. The specific actions will be to switch fan off, OFF, switch power to SCU, wait 7 seconds, switch power back to BAT, and switch fan back to on. When complete with the warm restart actions, all switches will be toward you.
Okay, copy, Jenny. I'm going to go in this order. It'll be, I'm not doing it now, but I'm talking through it. Fan off, power to SCU, wait 7 seconds, and then power back to BAT and fan on.
Copy. That's correct.
Okay. Let me know when you're ready.
Look up. Okay, Shane, we're ready for those steps, so you can switch fan to off OFF. Expect fan switch off tones, 7 seconds. But things have leveled off for now, so we're still looking at that, and we'll keep you updated. For now, with a good config on your DCM, we're going to have you head back out to the worksite.
This view of Shane Kimbrough now re-emerging from the airlock, and he will go out to the support structure on the port truss of the station to rejoin Thomas Pesquet and await further words from the flight control team here in Houston.
And Shane, understand you're working on closing the thermal cover at this time. We're also going to have you power cycle your HECA when you have a spare moment. So on and off, and confirm you have a green light.
Okay.
Tomorrow, an update for you. Again, we're holding prior to releasing the iROSA from the FSE. We've still not made that decision, and we want to be really safe before we make it. The next step I have for you would to be attach a RET to the microsquare, the scoop on the microsquare. We'll hold for that for now, but I will take a glove inspection and a hap check.
Good. Gloves are good. Change. Pump is right. I copy. The next would be a RET on the scoop. That's on the microsquare.
Copy. Those are good checks, Thomas.
The thermal cover is closed. The adjustable is in place.
Copy, Shane. Shane, we're just wanting to get a couple more data points on the DCM issue. Had you checked your DCM at all since the depress and exiting the egressing the airlock?
I don't think I looked at it, no.
Copy. That's what we figured. We just wanted to double check if you'd looked at it before you got that message.
Okay, I've got the green PGT Reddit to my swing arm, and I'm putting the PGT in the swing arm.
Copy. The PGT is on your swing arm. Could I confirm, I gave you this step before, but we did have that suit issue, so confirm that the square scoop from the crew lock bag is on your mini workstation. All right, good news, Shane and Tomas.
Settings for me, just in case we do.
We are go for our iROSA release. I have next steps for you. What was your last?
PGT settings.
This is Mission Control Houston. So to recap where we've been for the past hour, about an hour ago there were two separate issues technically with Shane Kimbrough's suit. One involved a loss of data to his display unit called a display control module, or DCM, that provides any spacewalker with insight into the condition of his suit while out in the void of space. He was ordered to return to the Quest airlock. He went back on an umbilical, did what is called a warm restart of that display unit, and it came back to life. The other issue has been the evaluation of a momentary, minor blip and a spike of pressure for the sublimator unit in Kimbrough's suit, which provides cooling for the crew member. That sublimator reading spiked ever so slightly for just a moment and then returned to normal. So after a series of tests with that equipment, the suit is holding steady and is apparently in good shape now, and Flight Director Ron Spencer has directed that we proceed with the spacewalk as planned, Kimbrough's suit in good shape. He was never in any danger during the course of this diagnostic evaluation, while Thomas Pesquet, as you see on the right-hand side of your screen, has been hanging out in a foot restraint at the end of the Canadarm 2 robotic arm, waiting for the green light to proceed with the extraction of the ISS rollout solar array from its flight support equipment.
Cooling and glove heaters are good. I'll keep the diver down for now.
Copy. Ensure your heels are secure in the APFR and your gauntlets are down.
Whoa, don't push too much. I think you got it off. Got it off the hinge. Sorry about that. Unlock. Yep. Do you have it? Yeah, I have it. Yep. Sorry about that. No, don't worry. I have it. Get my red off of this. Pull, don't pull. Don't pull. Yeah, you want my red off, okay? All right, I'm clear. Okay. Yeah, it's definitely off. Okay, off. Easy.
And I copy that iROSA is off of the FSE. Shane, I need you to remove your RET from the scoop and get in a position to monitor the clearance of the blanket to the grapple tower fixture.
That is done, Jenny.
So RET's removed. I'm going to go to the nadir side here to get a better look. And again, we're backing away from structure, so it's not a GCA. You can talk about other stuff.
Understood. Shane, we just want you to keep an eye on the tower grapple fixture and the clearance with the top of the iROSA blanket. Let Thomas know if he needs to adjust it in any way to clear.
I'm tracking, thanks. Looks really good right now.
This is Mission Control Houston. We're closing in on the 4-hour mark in today's spacewalk. To bring you up to date, the two spacewalkers, Thomas Pesquet and Shane Kimbrough, put their suits on internal battery power at 7:11 a.m. Central Time, 8:11 a.m. Eastern Time to begin work to release and install at the P6 truss the first of the two iROSA or ISS rollout solar arrays delivered to the station 2 weeks ago on the SpaceX Cargo Dragon vehicle. The most of the work throughout the day has been the use of a pistol grip tool to release a series of bolts that were essentially launch restraints for the array, the first of these two arrays, as they sat in the flight support equipment that you see Thomas Pesquet hovering over at the end of the Canadarm 2 robotic arm. About an hour and 10 minutes ago, two issues were detected with Shane Kimbrough's suit, not yet fully explainable. One was the loss of data on his display control module, which is essentially a data box on his spacesuit that provides information about the condition of his suit systems. The other issue was a momentary blip in sublimator pressure, the sublimator being the device in the suit that provides cooling for the crew member while outside in the void of space. Affixed to the end of the Canadarm 2 robotic arm, Thomas Pesquet holding the 750-pound iROSA solar array, the first of 6 such augmenting arrays that will be installed on the International Space Station to enhance the power capability for the complex for the rest of its lifetime. He will be driven over to the P6 truss worksite. Megan MacArthur is at the controls of the robotic arm, being assisted by Mark Vandehei from a robotics workstation inside the Destiny laboratory of the International Space Station.
U.S. on my PGT, good full test.
Copy. You can stow the green PGT on your swing arm, and then we will have you retrieve Thomas' green hook.
Good. Yeah, I'm off the FSC, going to get Thomas' green hook.
Hey, firm Shane, when you pick up that green hook, make sure you attach it to a waist tether, D-ring extender, or your green wheel.
Okay, copy. Okay, you got the green hook on my D-ring, left D-ring extender.
Copy, and check the reel is unlocked, and you can continue upboard.
Thomas, this is one joint LCAS in course. It'll take 3 minutes. Copy. Ready.
This is Mission Control Houston, 4 hours, 31 minutes into today's spacewalk. Shane Kimbrough now has possession of the first iROSA rollout solar array. He is going to hang on to that until Thomas Pesquet has left the foot restraint at the end of the station's robotic arm. Pesquet hauled the array over from its flight support equipment structure on the truss of the station over to the P6 worksite. And now the 2 crew members will begin the installation of this array to the P6 2B channel mast canister mounting bracket, or a mod kit as it is called, that was installed to accommodate this first iROSA array on a previous spacewalk. The second of these two iROSA arrays for the 4B channel on the P6 truss is scheduled to be attended to by Pesquet and Kimbrough during the next spacewalk that is scheduled for Sunday.
All right, Thomas, on your go, we will do the GCA to the published egress manual maneuver position, which is 4 meters, body in.
Go for 4 meters, body in.
Okay, we'll call that start GCA, starting motion.
Good motion.
And Thomas, was that good motion?
Yeah, that was good motion.
Continuing.
A good view of European Space Agency astronaut Thomas Pesquet being maneuvered at the end of the Canadarm2 robotic arm by Megan MacArthur with assistance from Mark Vande Hei at the robotic workstation inside the International Space Station to an area that will enable him to leave the portable foot restraint at the end of the arm to assist Shane Kimbrough with the start of the actual mounting of the iROSA array on the P6 truss 2B channel mounting bracket.
Copy, continue motion.
Continuing.
How you doing, Shane? Sounds like you're almost there. Yeah.
One meter.
Copy, continue.
.50 centimeters.
Continue.
.25.
Yeah.
Centimeters.
Yeah.
5.
Stop motion.
And stop in motion.
GCA complete to good position.
Copy, GCA complete. Brakes on.
Your brakes on.
The procedure, robo procedure says SRS brakes on. Go for egress and APFR reclocking.
Copy.
Understand, brakes are on. You can egress the APFR, Thomas.
Okay.
Copy, thanks.
I'm sure it's going to take a couple more minutes. Yeah, I heard, no problem.
All right, so now we're going to call it a start GCA, 40 centimeters, body up on the hand controller.
Copy, start GCA.
Starting motion.
Good motion.
.20 centimeters to go.
Actually, you might even pass 40 centimeters. I'll tell you stop. Continue.
And that's what you asked for. You want us to continue?
Yes, please continue. Correct. Oh, that might be 12 for y'all. 6 is facing towards the lee.
Thomas, those are good settings. We are happy to continue.
Okay. Just want to check
Tamar, we're still standing by for your go for the P6 backoff position. We want to make sure tethers and rest of you are clear.
Yeah, not yet.
All right.
Marking now to go for the P6 egress backoff position.
Jenny, before we do that, sound like you want to chime in?
I wanted to tell Thomas that he can translate to EV2's APFR, and I have some warnings and cautions when he's ready.
Ready.
Let's start the motion.
Affirm.
Ready, Jenny.
Warning, there's a sharp edge hazard on the empty rail attachment lug near the 2 Bravo IEA inboard radiator corner, and another sharp edge hazard, the pit pins on the ticker and the sticker do not meet EVA kick loads.
Copy.
2 cautions, avoid contact with the deployed and stowed radiators, and the battery adapter plate cables on the IEA are a snag hazard.
Copy.
Okay, you will be incrementally yawing the boot plate of Shane's APFR to a setting of 10.
Copy. Incrementally yawing the boot plate to a setting of 10. Hey, Tom, I feel you there. Yep. Bring up. Okay, Shane, the yaw's your right boot. Okay. Station ready. Ready. I'm going to try and yaw you very slowly. Ready? Ready. Elbows depressed. Still moving slowly, that's good pace. At the first slot. Yes. You pitch the airlock up, Shane. Pitch it up. Fine. Pitch it up. Fine. That's your first slot. Yes, here. Motion is stopped. You see clearance with the... I can't say I'm yelling the wrong side. My bad. Not good. You done? I'm yelling you back to the outside. Back to your... I'm yelling you to your right. Correct? No. Yeah. There's a solar right to your left. Okay. Don't let the clearance to your left. Hey, Jenny, can you double check me on this? The solar array looks really close.
We're checking now, Thomas.
I'm in. Nice. Okay, my 2 antennas are cleared. Cooling is good for now.
Copy. Ensure your visors and glove heaters are set.
Heaters are off and visor is down.
Copy. I understand your heels are secure in the APFR, and we'll do a gauntlets check.
Copy, and my gauntlets are down.
Okay, copy. I'll let you work with Shane to take control of iROSA. You will be performing a RET swap, and it's important, Thomas, that you attach your mini workstation RET to the scoop, which will be in your left hand.
Copy. Shane, can you yaw the iROSA to your left a little bit? That looks good. Bring it back to your left a little bit and up. Bye. Okay, I have a red on it. Nice work. I have my hand on it. Come back to the right? Yeah. What do you need? Wait. Just put my hand differently. There you go. Now I saw your hand on it. If you can rotate to your right a bit more. Yeah. Oh. Wait. Okay, I have 2 hands on it. I think I have control.
Okay, you have control. I'll take my red off.
I have control.
All right, Tomas, the red is gone. You have control.
I have control.
Ground copies, red swap complete.
Got to stabilize.
Tomas has control. Shane, you can egress the APFR and release your fare lead.
Copy. Right click, if not, let me come up. I'm up.
Copy, Shane.
I'm letting go completely.
Yeah, I have it. You have a red on it, right?
Yes, I do. Okay, now there's the AT that goes to the other scoop. It goes to the scoop from the mounting bracket, goes to the iROSA scoop, and the red goes to the gearing of defaging and goes to the bag.
A-firm, that's a good config. You'll be removing the scoops that you just redded to. You can tend it back to the scoop on the mounting bracket.
You remove the scoop.
Nice.
Back. Okay. Now, I can't really gauge the alignment, Shane.
Towards you, just about 10 centimeters.
Okay. How about that?
Make sure that when you're doing this,
That's,
the bottom of the root beam has to be aligned with the mounting bracket alignment features prior to install to avoid prematurely capturing those soft capture features.
Okay.
towards you some more.
Towards me some more.
That should be good right there.
Okay.
I have it kind of holding it down on the platform, the mounting bracket platform. Now it's roll it to your right.
Oh, it's to my right now. It's too low. Mine is not on the mounting. Something is protecting.
You taking it off?
Okay. Very nicely for now.
Looking good tomorrow.
Seeing something.
Yeah, I think you just got to keep going. Well, I think it's just hitting that the pin.
All right, big picture next steps.
You're out there tomorrow.
Big picture next steps for you guys. I see Thomas getting in the APFR. Shane, we're going to have you hold that position to help Thomas until he can drive R6, and then we're probably going to have you torque down the M bolts that you finger started previously. You'll use your PGT for that, Shane.
Copy. Thanks, tomorrow. don't go back anymore. Bend your knees and go to your left.
See my safety tether pulling on me. It's real. Do it again.
You want to to your right. You kind of you're hitting it when you come up.
I know if I should have come up, my safety tether is pulling me. That twists me.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
It's pulling me. Damn.
Wow.
It's happening before.
Thomas, for you, now that we've gotten those good checks, we are going to send you to the Y cable connector ends, and to get ourselves in a good config to leave these cables out here, we need you to mate the Y cable ends together.
Copy. It worked.
This is Mission Control Houston, 6 hours, 16 minutes into the spacewalk today by Pesquet and Kimbrough. They're in the process of driving the final bolts to structurally secure the iROSA rollout solar array to the mounting bracket at the base of the P6 solar array truss structure. You see those huge solar arrays that are deployed out of the top of your screen on this view from an external truss camera on the station. The actual unfolding of the two halves of the solar array boom and its ultimate unfurling of the array after it's electrically mated to the integrated electronics assembly on the International Space Station is forward work that will be left to a future spacewalk.
5309, Jenny, I'm going to pick up my hook and then attach it to my head reel.
Good words, Thomas.
This is Mission Control Houston, 6 hours, 35 minutes and counting in today's spacewalk by Pesquet and Kimbrough. They now have left the iROSA rollout solar array in a safe configuration on the mounting bracket at the base of the P6 solar array truss structure, and will now begin to make their way back to the Quest airlock, collecting tools and tethers and making inventory of all of the items they took outside with them for this first spacewalk in support of the augmentation of the power system on the International Space Station.
Your tethers are a little bit one above the other, Shane.
Okay, I'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
And my green hook is on my red reel, and both are unlocked.
Copy. That is a good config, Shane. You can continue your translation inboard. You will be headed direct to the airlock.
Copy. EV2's on the seat of spur.
Copy. Shane, when you are back at the airlock, a reminder that adjustable on the thermal cover is still there, and we will have you put your waist tether on the airlock D-ring extender waist tether.
Okay, copy. We take the adjustable off.
We're checking for you, Shane.
Okay.
Yeah, Shane, you'll be bringing that inside with you, that adjustable.
Okay, copy that. Okay, I have the adjustable thermal cover coming open.
Copy, Shane.
Okay, I have the spare PGT and the cooler bag. I'm making my way to the airlock.
Okay, Tamar, good deal.
We copy, Tama. That sounds good.
The waist.
Yes, Shane, go ahead.
The waist tether is to the airlock waist tether, which is to the D-ring. All three hooks through the locks.
Copy, Shane. Tama, make sure on your way inboard, you press the inboard port and starboard seat of brake handle releases twice.
Okay. Okay, and I'm at the PS4. Okay.
Copy.
Be mindful of your tether.
This is Mission Control Houston as we approach the enter shortly and begin the process of repressurizing the airlock to wrap up today's spacewalk.
On your SU.
They were able to remove and mount the first of the ISS rollout solar arrays onto the mounting bracket at the base of the P6 truss, but it has been a deliberate process throughout the day, and the crew members were not able to unfold or unfurl the arrays as had been hoped for. So with the spacewalk winding to a close, we will have to wait and see over the next day or so what the next course of action will be in terms of the timing and the content of the next spacewalk by Kimbrough and Pesquet. This is Mission Control Houston. The repressurization of the Quest airlock is continuing following the completion of today's spacewalk by Thomas Pesquet and Shane Kimbrough. The spacewalk began at 7:11 a.m. Central Time today when the two spacewalkers placed their suits on battery power, and ended 7 hours 15 minutes later at 2:26 p.m. Central Time with the repressurization of Quest. This was the 239th spacewalk in support of ISS assembly maintenance and upgrades, the 7th spacewalk conducted out of the ISS this calendar year. For Thomas Pesquet, this was the 3rd spacewalk of his career. He now has a total of 19 hours, 47 minutes of spacewalking time. Shane Kimbrough now has completed the 7th spacewalk of his career for a total of 46 hours and 15 minutes of spacewalking time. In all, the 239 spacewalks associated with ISS assembly maintenance and upgrades have equaled 1,506 hours and 28 minutes of spacewalking time, which is the equivalent of 62 days, 18 hours and 28 minutes of spacewalking since the first ISS spacewalk back in December of 1998. So far, for Expedition 65, there have been 2 spacewalks. The first conducted by Russian cosmonauts Oleg Novitsky and Pyotr Dubrov 2 weeks ago out of the Poisk module. So with today's spacewalk in the books, the 2 spacewalks so far for this expedition have totaled 14 hours and 34 minutes of spacewalking time.
Station Houston, space to ground 1, heads up, crew is no longer hot mic.
Shane Kimbrough back inside the equipment lock of the Quest airlock. Thomas Pesquet now being assisted back inside by Van de Heij and MacArthur.